Okay, so in the last episode, Alan told the story of Leia Organa, Crown Prince of Alderaan. Now let's head over to Tatooine to see what happened to his sister, Leia. It was dusk as Obi-Wan Kenobi rode up to the Lars household. In his hands he held a precious bundle, a newborn girl, the daughter of his best friend. He'd never raised a child himself, and it seemed danger followed him wherever he went, so Obi-Wan decided to give the child up. The Lars, Owen and Beru, were simple, kind people, moisture farmers by trade, and better yet, Owen Lars was the young girl's uncle, and their little homestead was far away from the troubles of the galaxy. Obi-Wan, satisfied by the girl's new home, retreated off into the desert to keep patient watch. One day, the girl would need him once again. Named Leia by her dying mother and Skywalker after her father, this girl would grow up on a harsh, unforgiving planet. But her childhood was not bereft of love and kindness. The Lars raised her as if she was their own. Aunt Beru loved Leia very much and took her everywhere she went, even when she went to check on water evaporators. Owen Lars loved Leia in his own special way, and whenever he went to town, kept to look out for toys for her, and he even purchased an old rusty battle droid to defend the homestead from Tusken raiders. To the Lars, Leia was their special little princess. Leia was a great communicator. Even before she could talk, she understood everything people said to her, and she could sense people's emotions as well. Whenever Uncle Lars became angry because Tusken raiders had raided a neighboring farm, she could sense it, and she would start crying uncontrollably. As a young girl, Leia had many friends. She seemed always to be able to resolve conflicts and organize activities the younglings would do for the day. The townspeople joked that Leia was the true mayor of Mos Eisley. One day, after going out to pick desert flowers, she was returning home and ran into a group of Tusken raiders. They surrounded the girl. Ben Kenobi had been following Leia, as usual, making sure she was safe and sound, and was about to spring into action when Leia held her hands up. In a clear voice, she said, "Let's not fight. Let's be friends." The raiders stopped dead in their tracks and slowly backed away. Leia smiled and carefully walked between the two nearest Tusken raiders, continuing home. Obi-Wan watched, astonished by the young girl's feat. She definitely was her father's daughter, he thought. The great drought hit Tatooine hard, and Jabba the Hutt's water tax collectors hit the farmers of Tatooine even harder. Leia quickly identified the problem. The farms were too spread out. These lone homesteads couldn't do anything against Jabba's bandits. She used her network of friends to convince the farms each to send one able-bodied man to start a militia. The next time the bandits came to town, they found an army of angry farmers waiting for them. Unfortunately, Leia hadn't been there to see Jabba's thugs turn tail and run. She was grounded, and Uncle Owen was lecturing her about not getting involved in things beyond her own understanding. He explained that Jabba would seek retribution for their actions. But before he locked her in her room, he left a glass of blue milk and cookies by her bedside table. Although he knew he couldn't tell her, Owen Lars was so proud of his little girl. About a month later, Jabba's bandits found the source of the militia. Owen Lars was on the outskirts of their homestead when he saw them. At first, he thought it was just another dust storm, but soon dozens of Jabba's thugs materialized. Uncle Owen managed to fire a warning shot into the air with his slug thrower before he was cut down by blaster fire. But it was just enough time to alert Aunt Beru and Leia. Aunt Beru told Leia to run for the hills and not look back no matter what. Leia just stood there motionless in the doorway. Aunt Beru full-on slapped her round the face. It was the first and last time she would ever hit Leia, and it was just enough to send her running. Aunt Beru did her best to hold off the thugs, but they had already seen young Leia running away from the homestead. They quickly gained on the little girl, and as Leia took a look behind her, she tripped on a rock, and that was all she remembered. She woke up to a kind old face. It was the hermit, old Ben Kenobi. He looked relieved at the sight of her coming back to consciousness. He handed her a bowl of dark brown liquid. It smelled foul, but Leia assumed it was some kind of herbal concoction to ease her suffering. Obi-Wan Kenobi explained that it wasn't. Her wounds were only minor. He was just a terrible cook. Ben Kenobi went on to explain that he was the one who had brought her to the Lars in the first place and had promised to take care of her if something had happened to the Lars. Aunt Beru had died screaming, the expression frozen on her face. Uncle Owen didn't even have time to react before a dozen blasters perforated his body. Leia was too distraught to notice much else. All around the homestead, bandits lay dead. Some were missing limbs and looked like they'd been thrown a great distance. Ben Kenobi let Leia sit there for most of the day amidst the ruins. But as darkness fell, Obi-Wan Kenobi picked up Leia just like he had done 18 years ago, but this time they were walking away from the Lars homestead. The old man was stronger than he looked. The next day he took Leia to Mos Eisley. There he hired the services of a smuggler named Han Solo and his Wookiee partner Chewbacca. For the right price, they would take him anywhere. Obi-Wan decided it was time to reunite Leia with her twin brother Luke. After all, old Ben Kenobi didn't know anyone else he could trust. While en route to Alderaan, Leia kept to herself. She didn't talk to anyone since she had got on the ship. The Wookiee took great offense. As Obi-Wan was trying to calm Chewbacca down, he suddenly felt a wave of destruction and pain wash over him, though the Force was swallowed by a smaller echo of the same terrible emotions hitting him. The source of the second feeling was close, and the old man reached over and disengaged the hyperdrive. Han Solo quickly reached for his blaster, pointed at the old man, but soon lost interest. The image of a heavily damaged Corellian corvette appeared directly ahead of them. They were hailed immediately by the stricken ship and found out that they had come to the rescue of the Crown Prince of Alderaan, Leia Organa, the last surviving member of the royal family. Guys, thanks so much for watching. What should come next in the story? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Please subscribe if you're new, and as always, if you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.